All right, final thing. By loving, we're assured of truth, we're assured of forgiveness, we're assured of prayer, and we're assured of relationship. 1 John 3:23 through 24 says this, "And this is His commandment, that we believe in the name of His Son, Jesus Christ, and love one another, just as He's commanded us. Whoever keeps His commandments abides in God, and God in him. And by this we know that He abides in us by the Spirit that He has given us." So here we go. John comes full circle. And John reemphasizes what he's been saying all along, that what it really comes down to, this assurance, is a belief in Jesus, a trust in Jesus, and a love for other people. If we are doing those two things, he says we are abiding in Him and He in us. There is something supernatural that is occurring here. There is something that happens that we are remaining close to Him. And in fact, as we looked at a couple weeks ago, He has put a part of Himself, His seed, in us that is growing, that is changing, that is developing within them. You see, I absolutely love being a dad. It's just one of the greatest joys of my life. You've heard me tell many stories about my kids. But what's been funny is watching them grow up, and as they get older and older, here's one of the things that occurs in our house. My daughter, my son, my other daughter, one of them will say something, and you've been here, parents, grandparents, you know this, and you hear yourself in what they said. You realize that by being together, by living together for so long, you began to rub off on them. They start to speak like you, they talk like you, they act like you. And there's sometimes where that brings a big, giant smile to your face, and you go, "That is awesome. That was totally something I would say, and that's amazing." And then other times you shake your head and go, "Oh, that is totally something I should say, and I need to get rid of that in my life. I need to make sure that's not there as I'm influencing them." Here's what John is saying. He's saying, listen, our love in action does not create relationship. Where I think too many people get it wrong. They say, well, simply if I love people and I do these things, then God will be pleased with me, and then God is going to love me, rather than this. But our love in action is evidence of relationship. What I'm saying is this: your loving people and loving God this way can't help but rub off on you. It's just happening. It's evidence that you have a relationship with Jesus Christ. Because you're becoming more and more like Him. You're saying things that He would say. You're doing things that He does. And that's the good news of that love in your life. That love in your life has not created the relationship, but it's evidence that that relationship is there. It's why I can stand up before people all the time, have many conversations, and say, listen, any good that you see in me comes from Jesus and nowhere else. My heart is wicked by itself. My heart is sinful by itself. But I've spent some time with Jesus, and He began to work on me and change me and do these things. And so, when you have a troubled heart, here's the point of the message. When you have a troubled heart, love in action is the assurance for a troubled heart. Love in action is the assurance for a troubled heart. You have doubt in your life, you do what I said earlier. Get with somebody and look at the evidence in your life. Hey, you have condemnation. Boy, you look at the promises of God. Let me word it even a better way. For every look that you take at your own life, I want you to take 10 looks at Jesus. For every one look at yourself and your sin, take 10 looks at Jesus on the cross and be reminded of His promise that is there. Hey, in prayer, we come close and we ask Him for things that bless His kingdom. And then we are assured of our relationship. So, when I say the cure for a troubled heart is to go and to do love in action, what that looks like practically is this. We begin to go and love people the way that God has commanded us to love. We go and we do it. Now, it may be that we don't feel like it initially. Okay? Let's be honest. Any time we've ever had to go exercise, nobody's been like, yeah, I just can't wait. I can't wait to go do this exercise. Not at the beginning. Not if you haven't exercised in 3 months, you're not excited to go do it, but you go do it because you know it's the right thing to do. And then what starts to happen is it starts to become more and more natural to you. And then at some point, you do look forward to doing it and go, yeah, I'm actually excited about doing this. In the same way, John's encouragement, listen, go and love people the way that He's commanded us to go do it. And by this, we know that He abides in us and us in Him. And you're going to be transformed in that way. There's a story about two prospectors. They were up in the mountains and during the gold rush, and they were trying to find some gold, and they had looked and looked and looked, and lo and behold, one day they stumbled upon it. They found it. But they didn't have all the tools and things that they needed, so they went back into town, and they went into town, and they gathered up their tools, and they started going back up the mountain to their site where they had all their gold that was there. And they looked back, and about half the town had come along with them. And they were like, what in the world is going on? So they stopped, and they turned back and said, why are you guys following us? They said, well, you guys obviously found some gold, and we want a piece of it. And they said, well, we never said that we found any single part of gold. We never said anything like that. And they said, you might not have said it, but your faces screamed it. We knew, because there's something different about the way that you came in. Loved one, listen, if you are not assured, get along with somebody. Come alongside and ask them, hey, what does my face look like? What's happening here? Is there evidence in my life? And let them help reassure your heart that you can be assured of these things.